Hello, welcome back to the Slope. Hibs scored 6 goals, and it's because Harry fucked off back to London. That's why. No, Harry, how you doing?
Being honest, mate, I've been rough, but braving it out for the podcast. I feel I've got some humble pie to eat, so the best place to do that's on the pod.
And we're also joined by Ryan and Greg. So we've got a full house. I don't know, Harry, how long are you staying for the full ep?
I'll do my best, mate. I'll see how it
Right.
goes.
Greg, how you doing, my man? Off work for a while?
Yeah. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. Just had holidays to take before the end of the financial year, so all good.
Good. Ryan, you good, my man?
I am all good. I'm still coming to terms with the fact that Hibs scored 6 and kept the clean sheet in the same game.
Absolutely wild. I don't think I'll ever catch on. Right, we're going to do our usual. We're going to run through questions. Do you know, we've had a lot of people call us negative and stuff, but I tell you what, the questions didn't half dry up when Hibs are good. So maybe that says more about not just us, but our listeners as well. But before we go into the questions, Ryan, was it just nice to walk away from Easter Road feeling good for a change?
It was good to have that kind of buzz, walking back to the car and feeling good, and the rest of the weekend that follows on is positive.
Yeah. Greg, I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but at 3-0 up at half time, what did you send in the group chat?
What did I send? Oh, I didn't think we're that great, did I?
Didn't think we're that great. Yes, we've scored 3 goals.
We
have misplaced a couple of passes.
I'm not even joking. I actually, yeah. I was obviously wrong, wasn't I? I just thought that some of the play was a bit sloppy at times, but listen, the moment we get beat, the moment we're fucking 3-0 up at half time, so really there is no middle ground. We're always going to be miserable and negative, so just need to get on board with that.
Speak for yourself, man.
So,
shut up, Brian.
We've not had, I don't think we've had any questions come in regarding individual players' performances as such. So, I think what I'd like to do, because it was a game where a lot of players stood out, or maybe a lot of players didn't stand out because everyone performed at a level. But let's avoid Josh Campbell just now. We'll talk about that maybe at the end. But Greg, who was the one huge standout other than Josh Campbell for you on Saturday?
There was 2 for me.
I asked for one.
Well, I'll give you 2. Because I know that I'm guessing Ryan will want to talk about another one, but for me, Joe Newell and Will Fish were outstanding the full game. Joe Newell made 2 tackles that he clearly won the ball and still gets the free kick against him.
Bad,
he can't do anything right. But listen, I thought that he was superb, and I think he's maybe playing a bit more freely because of Majengo, but I thought he was outstanding. And Will Fish took no prisoners the full game, and I don't mind that.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with Will Fish's. I think he looked to play when it was on, but if it wasn't clearly on and immediately on, he got rid of it. And I subscribe to Longbanger, so I've already listened to the post-game stuff. I don't know if it's actually out or not, but Colin said on there, it's really nice to see someone doing the basics right. And as a defender, watching some, because there was a few times he did play nice passes, especially in the first half, into like McCurdy's feet, but a lot of the time he wasn't scared to just send it long and turn the defence. Yeah. And especially when you've seen how fragile Aberdeen were at the back, turning them was just as good as trying to play through them at any given moment at the weekend. Ryan, who was a standout or 2 for you? God, if we all give 2 and then we come to Josh Campbell,
I'm happy.
The full team.
I'm happy just to go with 1, and then that leaves you guys enough players left. So I've given this guy a wee bit of criticism over the last few weeks, but I'm gonna highlight Harry McCurdy because I thought he really worked his socks off, put in a lot of effort, and I think he offered Cadden that bit of protection going backwards, which was quite a clever tactical switch that Johnson made, playing LU and through the middle. Obviously, McCurdy prefers to play through the middle himself, but he works really hard off the ball, which made a difference. He was happy to take the ball on the feet or spinning behind. He won a few fouls, and I thought he was quite important for us defensively.
I don't want to say too much on McCurdy, but I'm certainly not as impressed after Saturday as I know a lot of fans are. Harry, what did you make of McCurdy's performance?
Yeah, I think there's still, but we're expecting an end product from. He was kind of brought in as this, like, he was going to bring the next batch of goals. And I think it was something that we were all quite excited for, and obviously he's not found the back of the net yet. I think his energy and effort is something to be applauded, but also agree with you that we do need to see something a bit more than that for someone that was kind of brought in as a marquee signing. So yeah, no, I think the jury's still out, not in a negative way. I think that for me, I think he does need consistent minutes from the start of a game. I think throwing him on for 20 minutes at the end doesn't really cut it, but I thought he was good, not great at the weekend. Not a slight on him. I just don't think he impacted too much in the final third. But even if you look at the way he celebrated Josh Campbell's goal, I think he is dead into the club and he's got a passion for it. He wants to do well. So it's a good starting point. But whilst I'm chatting my nonsense, there's a couple obvious ones that I won't mention, so I'll leave them up to you. But for his overall game, I thought David Marshall had his best game in a long time. I think that coming out and punching balls that came in, I think his distribution was a lot better than usual. And I think he actually topped Rocky Bushiri from last season in terms of pointless kicking the ball out the park that made the fans celebrate. At the end of the game, when he launched the ball into the Aberdeen fans, that sounded like it got more cheers than the actual goals did. So I found that very amusing. So good on you, Dave.
That was fucking fantastic, by the way. And then, even though it was 6-0 at the time, I was about like, they're going to score. They're going to score for you. But no, that was so good. And I think I've seen someone tweet, David Marshall taking kick it the way you're facing. Literally. No, I think there was a purpose to that, as far as I'm concerned. I think he'd been taking stick the majority of the half, and I think it was a little bit of a get it right up you to them. Look, I've just seen there's been a question or two come in about Diego and Yuan, so maybe avoid them. But McGeady for me was taking the utter piss out of Aberdeen. The utter piss, genuinely. And I think I think you're starting to see where the McGeady that the quality is still absolutely there. I think pretty much consistently since the World Cup he has been good, but fitness seems to be building up. I think he got hooked at the right time, but real positive performance. I think that was probably his best game in a Hibs shirt, and I actually think him and Stevenson are getting a fair bit of decent understanding. On the left hand side, I think a fullback like Stevenson's probably good for McGeady as well. I think he gives them enough room to operate in that sense that, sometimes I think fullbacks can be prone to going in the winger space, but Stevenson maybe not being as attacking as, say, a Cadden on the right hand side means McGeady can go outside or inside. Really impressed with him on Saturday. But it's time to wax lyrical about Josh Campbell. Harry, 3 goals, 2 assists, 1 magnificent diving header. Just how good was he on Saturday, and just how important is he to this Hibs team?
I think he's been really good for quite a long period of time. I don't think he's really had a bad game since we've come back from Christmas, and finally he's actually got the goals, goal contributions in a game to pay dividends for that. I think the first goal was like a proper poacher's goal. It's the type of thing I'd expect to see from Kevin Nisbet or Martin Boyle, not Josh Campbell sticking in at the back post to tuck it in. Obviously a great delivery from Joe Newell for the corner for the second one, but that header, that is total football. That's the type of thing that, as a football fan and a football purist, you just love to see. It is such a gorgeous goal. But I think he's been fantastic the whole season. I think even the Nisbet goal, he's the one that the ball gets knocked out, he wins the second header and then ends up setting up the goal. He's just got that drive and effort that he goes the whole game. And he's got a technical ability that we just didn't see last season, when I think it's fair to say even all of us doubted him. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, or the day before.
He was pigeonholed into a position last year that very clearly wasn't his natural place to play. I was very critical that last year I felt Josh Campbell just passed the ball the way he faced. This year, I still think at times he can be guilty of it, but when he gets his tail up, he does look like a real good player. And Greg, Saturday he was really flying from the off, wasn't he?
It was almost like a man possessed on Saturday, and I don't really understand why, but he was determined to get in the box. He was determined to make things happen. He was fluid in his play. He was always shown as an option. He's definitely got that side to his game. I think this season's been a big improvement on what we've seen last year. Obviously, I think last week after the Hearts review, I sort of said that he's all effort, not maybe a lot of ability. But I'm more than happy to be proved wrong on these things, because it means that these players are contributing putting a good shift for Hibernian Football Club and ultimately want to win games and want these players to be doing well. So yeah, I was very impressed with him, and I think his assist for Nisbet's goal is just delicious.
Great
Like,
pass.
there's no other way. He's just absolutely delicious, and I mean that goal alone is just unbelievable.
Liquid. Absolutely
Liquid indeed.
Right, Ryan, I'm going to come to you on this one, but this is very much open forum. Josh Campbell, 8 goals, like 4 or 5 assists. Why isn't he now being touted for a Scotland call-up in March if he continues this form? Like, genuinely, if this was a player at the Old Firm...
I'll give you an honest answer. It's because he plays in green and white in Edinburgh. That's my God's honest opinion. He's playing for Hibs. Hibs don't tend to have many players called up to international duty. Look at Ryan Porteous. Look how long it took him being in and around the squad before he was given a call-up. There had to be an injury crisis before he was given a cap. I think Josh Campbell is more than good enough to be in the squad at the very least.
Barry McKagan.
He's definitely knocking on the door. I don't think you can ignore form like that. So, yeah, if he keeps going on the trajectory that he is, he won't be far off a Scotland cap, and that can only benefit us in terms of sell-on value. Obviously, we don't want to sell him, but these things make a difference, and it's one more player that Lee Johnson can talk about international caps about.
Greg, Harry, what would you be your? Is it still too early, or?
I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but the boy's 22 and he's having his first breakout season. I think to be in this, like, I think central midfield for Scotland is one of the few positions that we've got quite a few decent players in. And as much as I love Josh Campbell, I think he's playing really well. I don't think he's quite at that level yet. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's teams down south sniffing around, maybe like bottom end championship, that could take a stab at him, but I don't think he's quite at that level where he's getting a look in from Scotland. Like, as you say, it is impressive the season he's having, but yeah, personally, I just think there's like a technical ability that you need that he's not shown on a consistent enough basis to actually get him into the frame for that. Like, to be fair, the question's valid, but for me, I don't think he's quite there yet.
I just think if you look at form and base it on merit as opposed to reputation, he'd be up there in terms of numbers.
I know, but stats don't get you in the Scotland squad. I think international football especially is a lot more about the eye test.
Well, no, absolutely. But I mean, Ryan Jack seems to get in the squad every week, and he's just a hatchet man. Every so often.
Just to bring it back to players who don't spit the dummy out on Instagram. I think that Josh Campbell, maybe this season, we've seen a better version of him. Not to quote Jack Ross, but maybe his better games last season we didn't really praise him enough.
Yeah,
and maybe the games this season where he's maybe struggled in, they seem a lot worse than what they are because of the standard he has set at times this season. He's been around for a while within the first team, so it's good to see him sort of kicking on now. And look, he's a crucial part of that midfield, isn't he?
You've seen the one game that he got moved out there at right back against Dundee United. We missed him massively. I think we all agreed on that after that game. Like, for me, Campbell's best games last year, I think we all agreed, were sort of Celtic, Rangers, derbies, and we were all sort of pinning that down to his work rate. He was very industrious, closing people down, snapping at the heels of players like Callum McGregor. I think I remember him doing that, a very good job of that at Easter Road in the game under Maloney. Was it 0-0?
Yeah.
But in this year, it does feel like you have seen that side's still very much there, but then, he's 5 goals against Aberdeen, in the games that are still important, he's stepping up, but I think he's producing and justifying his selection in the team against the lesser teams, if you like, in the league. And I know it's such a fucking high and mighty thing to say, but the games last year where you felt like, what is the point in them being in the team this year? I think he's absolutely stepped up, and more than right now, you're having him in the team with Kyle McGuinness every single day of the week, right?
I would say so, yeah.
On current form, absolutely.
But I think you also need to take it on current form. You can't just start picking players because they done something good 3-4 weeks ago. They've been out for 3-4 weeks. You can't just bring them straight back in.
Yeah,
Josh Campbell's been consistently in this team, and he's done well at times. Other times maybe he's not done so well. But one thing that has been the constant is his effort, and I know that's bare minimum, but you still have to turn up and put the effort.
Absolutely. Right, let's move on to listener questions and get our subjects going. So, very first question that we got in this morning was from Mason Forrest. How well did we play? Was it due to us, or was it partly down to how bad Aberdeen actually are? I have a feeling that you three might go in a similar way here. I don't want to remove too much credit from Hibs. Aberdeen were bad, but let's be honest, yeah, they're on a bad form, but coming into the game, they're above us in the league. They still do have threats in the final third, and Hibs started the game really well and on the front foot. And I think Aberdeen did throw the towel in after the second goal, maybe the third goal. But we put them there. I was still very impressed with Hibs at the weekend, regardless of that Aberdeen team.
No matter how badly a team plays, you still need to score goals and you still need to impose your style in the game. And that's exactly what we've done. We've done it early. We've done it well. And when it was 2-0, the game was over and they weren't going to come back. They looked dead. But that's because of us. That's not because of them. That's because we've gone and we've scored the goals and we've been aggressive going forward. We've been solid defensively. So look, for every bit Aberdeen were maybe lacking in areas or they were bad, Hibs were very good.
And just to follow up on that, I think the key, if you watch the highlights, especially the goals back, the key areas that it looks like Aberdeen were very poor with the set pieces, but we still scored. I would count the penalty because that was just kind of like a penalty. Like we played good football to win the penalty. So if you take away that, we still scored 3 goals without Aberdeen giving them to us. So yeah, no, I think we were worthy. I think if Lee Johnson made his comment about we were due giving someone a beating like that at some point, I think if he made that about maybe late September, start of October time, it would have made sense. I feel of late we didn't look like we were scoring more than 1 goal against anybody in the league, so to say that we were expecting 6 was a bit rash. But yeah, no, I think in fairness to Lee Johnson, I've slagged him off quite a bit of late, but I think he set the team up well. He picked the correct team, and they paid it back for him. I think one thing that worked very well, something that I don't want to go into too much detail because I think it gets asked later on. Paul Hanlon and Will Fish.
I was literally just coming on to that next question from
okay.
So pack it in, Harry. But
Ryan, if you've got comments, if you think Hibs deserve full credit, you can go.
Yeah, I would say that my emphasis is more on the positives of Hibernian as opposed to the negatives from Aberdeen. I'm not interested in Aberdeen or how they played. You've got to beat the team that's put out in front. And they've done the job. They got it done early so that they could enjoy the rest of the game. And you could see how well they played and, the inventiveness of some of the players when the pressure was off and the spaces started to open up for the likes of McGeady and Yuan especially. So that was only possible when we stood on the throat of Aberdeen. So we had to be kind of on top for periods of the game to allow that to happen, which we did do. So
Can I just pull up Harry on his point about he doesn't know why sort of that's not that's been said, but even last week we had 21 shots on goal. Getting shots away isn't the issue. Getting shots away is absolutely fine, but we don't score enough, and the stats and the XG will show that. But so I actually understand for once what he's saying, and that we were due to give someone an absolute hiding because we get shots off 15, 16 plus times a game, but we don't always score the goals that we deserve.
But I don't think we created several quality chances in that game against Aberdeen that we've not created against many other teams. I think we create half chances quite often, but we've got clear chances against Aberdeen.
But we are still getting the shots away ultimately. So
we've got 17 goals in 8 games since the World Cup now. Obviously, that's significantly skewed after the 6-0, but still, it's a weird one, because you can't ignore the derbies, and nor should you. But see if you look solely at the league form, maybe since the World Cup, it's not been bad. Could have been better, but you've lost at Ibrox. You've had a really good 45 minutes there, and then a less good 45 minutes in the second half. Quite poor against Celtic, poor in the derby, but you've beat Livingston comfortably. You beat Aberdeen resoundingly. Good win away at Motherwell. frustrating points dropped against Dundee United, but again, you've kept going till the end of the game. So the derbies are obviously a massive black mark in there, but in and around it, post World Cup, Hibs haven't been probably as bad as what as fans we probably felt because of because you can't get away from the fact that the derbies are huge and they do override a lot of other things. You very quickly can forget about beating Livingston 4-0 comfortably at home when you go and lose a derby 3-0. But things maybe aren't as bad as what they felt, and it is amazing what one win can do. I think that's especially a resounding one like that. But yeah, next question was from Sean. Can you get G to confirm he said Paul Hanlon was outstanding, just for recording things you think you'd never hear?
He was outstanding, and there's no getting away from that. Really solid. Won every header, won every tackle. Just exactly what you want to see. Even his crossfield ball came off at the weekend. So
I thought Fish and Hanlon looked solid. Harry, you think they were good, but you think it's a bit maybe too much praise from what you said to us.
No. So like the thing is for me, like I think they were good and they'd done their job. I don't think they were put under too much pressure, which obviously like they can only deal with what they're put against. But I think I don't know if someone sent it to us or if it was just something I saw on Twitter, but they were just defenders defending. Like with Porteous and Bashiri, like there is always the expectation that we're going to play out quite often from the back. But as we said, like Fish several times just got the ball and lumped it forward in the direction of Yuan or Nisbet. Like I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for your centre back to do. And then Hanlon obviously loves his crossfield ball. And then when the ball was coming near them, like Chibraya's always an imposter for trying to bring the ball down when he could head it clear. I think every time the ball came near Fish in the air, he timed it well and just nodded it away. I think it's something that we've not really experienced, just having defenders defending at Easter Road for a while. So obviously that's not the be all and end all, but I think that did help them kind of look calm together, knowing there wasn't the pressure of them having to actually lead the attacks from the back.
Yeah. I do think that's a very valid point. Right, Craig Robertson, Ryan. For me, the same team starts tomorrow. Thought Jago was cracking and Yuan just the usual from him. Any changes for you to the starting 11 for the Ross County and Jago much improved?
I'd go much the same, although I would have Nisbet back in from McCurdy and just switch him in Yuan so that Nisbet's through the middle.
Yeah.
Aye, that would be my team. Yeah, I think that everybody else deserves to keep their place if they're all fit. McCurdy didn't have a bad game, but Nisbet just carries that real goal threat, very potent at the minute. I don't think you can leave a player like that on the bench. And if he's in the squad, it's a big sign for us that he's going nowhere. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Is that the consensus?
The only thing I saw McPartlin report today, the only reason that Nisbet didn't start at the weekends because he got a dead leg the game before. So it was actually like a slight niggle as opposed to like going to Millwall and back. So
I thought it was because he travelled, but yeah.
But dead legs like 2 days, so.
I know, but it said in that there was potential for him not to start at County for the same reason. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Okay. Well, do you know what?
I've got the same team in that case.
He's had a dead leg. Come on, let's get real.
I think here, right, I might be wrong here, right, and it might have been your hero, Roy Keane, but I might know.
He never got dead legs.
No, but
he gave dead legs.
There was someone at a fairly high level, I'm sure it was Man U related, and they were out for like months with a dead leg. Like it just didn't shift. But anyway, that's a total sidetrack. Jimmy Jago.
But see now with all the technology you get, you can remove dead legs, I'm sure, pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
Jimmy Jago, good second. Good second game for Hibs. For me, definitely looked better than he did against Hearts. I still think the derby passed him by a little bit, I do.
Yeah, I think the game was played at a slower pace. It was less frantic. As I said last week, he would settle, and he had the opportunity to do that on Saturday. Shuttled across the pitch, side to side fairly well, and shut off the passing lanes, going into the striker's feet, which is ultimately what he's there for, to break things up, and kept things simple, neat and tidy. We don't need him to go on mazes or spray passes. He's done his job really well. And I mean, he's got limitations to his game and he's not the most mobile, but if he can read the game as well as he did on Saturday, then he'll be all right going forward. So he seems to be a decent player.
Done his job, Greg.
He did do his job, other than slicing at the pitch when there was no need to in the first half. That was noted in the notepad pretty sharply. But other than that, he was going in for tackles. He was, he was freeing up Newell almost to go and affect the game. And I thought that's. Don't think it's a coincidence that Newell played his best game in a while. Because when Newell's on it, he's a very good football player, but we don't see that enough from him.
Yeah. Friend of the pod, Lee Rose. If Hibs managed to catch Hart, would G get the McCurdy cut?
Probably not. I'm gonna lie to you.
Wait,
maybe Lee could do it while the Harry's got now.
I was going to say, but I thought, is that?
Nah, if he cuts that, it's no growing back. Like, no way. Sorry, Lee, but Jesus, if you shave that, it's never coming back, son.
Right. Is it realistic to think we can catch Hearts, Harry?
I don't think so. I think as much as I hate them, I think their squad is quite deep at the moment. And as I said, Willie Johnson, I think the form of the team, I think there is a very good chance we go and win our next couple of games. But I do feel that when we get beat, it won't be one defeat in a row, and it's likely that we'll lose about 5 or 6 on the trot. It just seems to be the way. I know that's the thing that Sunderland fans used to complain about as well when he was in charge of them. So yeah, I think that 4th is potential, but I also think that 9th is still potential. I think I was probably a bit hasty saying that we were in a relegation battle. I think that that's dead and buried now, thankfully. But yeah, I don't think we'll finish above Hearts realistically.
Cool. Right, Greavesy, how many signings need to be made by the close of the window, and what positions need urgent attention? Surely any signings need experience. Youth loans from down south only stop our own youth players breaking in. I do think that was sent in prior to CJ Egan Riley signing, who like my initial thoughts were definitely very hesitant on that.
I'm going to just be 100% honest with you and say it right now. I know nothing about the player and I've never seen him play, and I'm not going to claim that he's a good player because he's got pedigree. We can say that about a lot of players at Hibs at the minute, but pedigree doesn't count for much unless you can do it on the park.
Yeah, I was quite hesitant.
How many players have come up for England and how many players have come up for England and not done anything? Yeah, I won't judge him. Your eyes don't lie to you. You'll make a judgment call when he plays.
Right, aye. So obviously that's come in since Greaves' question. So it'll be interesting to see what his thoughts are now. But knowing that we have signed a centre back / right back / defensive midfielder, Greg, what more do we need before the window closes tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and what positions?
I play a permanent centre half.
Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at, which is what Patrick McPartland, I don't know if you've seen the article, Patrick McPartland pretty much suggested today it'll be an experienced centre half permanently or nothing. Which I think I'd be all right with. If that was the window, that with Nisbet staying, obviously.
Thing is, a lot of stuff is getting rid of the players that we don't actually need, and that don't really contribute anything to the squad. So we've done that, which is good.
Yeah, do the club deserve credit just for, right? Okay,
clearing up their mess.
Yeah, they signed
them. I think we've done all right to get rid of bodies, so we've done quite well to get fees for certain players. The Melkison deal, if it's a permanent in the summer, is a good deal. So I think they've done some decent business. But as you say,
the fee for Dimitri Mitchell's unbelievable, to be honest.
There seems to be some chat tonight, Harry, about. I know we've went away from it here in terms of who we want in, but I know that you want another centre back. I don't need to ask that. There seems to be some talk about you and Henderson potentially going down to join up with Sean Maloney again, and it seems to be suggested it would be a permanent deal. That would be a disappointing one, wouldn't it? Probably the right move, but disappointing in the sense that I think all of us thought it was going to be better.
I think it's frustrating because I think it's at the stage now where I'm wanting Henderson to be good as opposed to expecting him to be good. I'm still adamant there's a player there, but for me it's a physicality. he just, for me, is very, very weak when he's on the ball, and it's just not good enough. And realistically, I think there's in a team that we've criticised quite a lot this season, he's probably about the sixth choice that you'd thrown. I think there's youngsters ahead of him. I think Jake Doyle-Hayes hasn't played since maybe 2 appearances this season. I'd put him in ahead of him. So if we could get a fee for Ewan Henderson and get a little sell-on clause in case he does turn good, I definitely wouldn't say no personally.
Right. Greg, Ryan, same echo Harry's thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I don't think he gives anything else than what a youth team player like Murray would give, if I'm honest.
And in fairness to him as well, he played his best football for Hibs under Maloney, so maybe we could re-find that if he went back down south. Or if he moved down south,
I thought he was good under Maloney, but I just feel like, I don't know, he looks lost at the moment. Which is a shame because it's not nice to see, but ultimately it's a difficult industry, isn't it? You know, if you have a few bad games, you get dropped and then you're out the picture. So,
and standards-wise, the Wigan at the moment are closer to the League Cup group stage than the Scottish Premier League, so he'll do well down there.
Right. Next point came in from Mike, Highway Trucker. McCurdy was like a terrier. He chased everything and played well. There's definitely a player in there. Judging after he's had a few full starts, I think that is fair. I would like to see him get a run in the team, but I think with Nisbet's form, Yuan's form, he's simply not going to get it. He is, in that front three, he's fourth, I would say, behind McGeady, Yuan and Nisbet for the front three positions. I was more impressed with what I seen on Saturday, but I'm still not fully there. But we have spoken about him quite a lot, so we'll move on to the next one. Freddie White, is it possible to slam a revolving door? It is, because if you push it too hard, it stops.
Correct.
There you
go. Is that a metaphor, or is that just the full question?
Oh, well, there's a few more. Do stairs go up or down? Is the S or C in silence sent? What?
Is it S or C, the one that you can hear in scent, I think he means.
Yes. So and then Owen, can we play like that every week?
Let's
don't care. Don't care. Hope so.
They're short bangers questions. Move on.
In relation to that last question, I think part of my frustration is the team that played there for the most part, apart from Diego, and then obviously a couple of players because injuries throughout. That we're capable of putting those performances on week in, week out, and I think that's been part of the frustration. There's no reason why we couldn't have played exactly like that against Hearts or even against the Old Firm. I think if we played to that level, I think we could give them a run for their money as well. I think that now we've put in that performance, we go up and shit the bed at County, I think there'll rightly be a lot of very angry fans. So yeah, I think it should be an expectation that we put in that level of performance every week.
Absolutely.
To bring in a football cliche, Saturday's result only becomes a good result if we go back up tomorrow night.
Let's feel big tomorrow, eh? Like if you can go and back it up, you put a little bit of pressure on Livingston and Hearts before their game the following night. I'm assuming Livingston have a game. I know Hearts got Rangers, aye?
Correct, mate, yeah.
So.
Logan Simpson, the boy himself. Would you rather Kukurevich or Yuan on a permanent if you could only have one?
Kukurevich.
Yuan.
Ryan?
Kukurevich, because we've still got Boyle to come back from an injury who can kind of slot into that Yuan position.
Yeah, I'm going to say Kukurevich for that reason as well. I do think Yuan is kicking on, and maybe by the end of the season I'll have changed my opinion, but I think Kukurevich best option down the middle other than Nisbet, whereas
offers us something a bit different, doesn't he?
If McGeady and Boyle was, if everyone's fully fit, is Yuan even playing?
Yes.
I don't know. His final ball and his execution sometimes isn't as good as what it should be.
That's why he's at Hibs, Ryan. That's genuinely why he's at Hibs.
It's his job, Greg. Didn't he change your tune now, son?
Absolutely.
That's why he's at Hibs. Because maybe he's not the most consistent, but who at Hibs is consistent every week?
No, absolutely. You're correct.
Right, so sharp, Ryan. Pack it up.
Next question.
Wait. I want to hear. Why would you have that? That just sounds like blatant recency bias to me. Why would you have Eli Yuan over Kukurevich?
Cheers, Harry.
Just think Ellie Johan's got that little bit extra. That
He's a show
in
player.
terms of-
He's a good player, though.
oh, here we go.
I'm going
No,
He's
down.
not a
like-
show pony though, is he? Because he's actually good with it. A show pony is someone that does it and can't quite pull it off, but he is genuinely good with it. I think he
Obviously,
had. I
after the
think he
Hearts
has a
game.
different dynamic to the front three. I would take him.
Greg, you said they
on
would
a
start if
firm.
everyone was fully fit. So over McGeady?
Yep. Yeah, I would say. No, I would probably play him through the middle.
Over Nisbet.
I mean, yeah, I would say so.
4-4-2.
Double it down.
4-4-2.
Why
Aye.
not play 4-4-2?
No,
No,
but
no.
Thing is, I think if you play Ewan and Nisbet together, right, they complement each other. Nisbet can go through the middle. Ewan can maybe drift out wide. Just two different strikers.
who gets the midfield
Cause
role?
defenders problems.
Who gets the two
Eh?
midfielders in your team? Josh Campbell and
Matty Jack.
who?
Boy, Joe Newell.
Do you know, it's
Have a
funny,
left
right?
footer in there as well.
Harry
And then
mentioned
obviously McGeady on the left and
Ewan on
Boyle
the
on the
right.
right.
Boyle on the right, sorry. Harry mentioned, just to go back and have a little bit of a dig here, Harry talked about Hearts' squad and obviously how they need it because they get so many injuries. Fuck me. How different could our season have looked if we could have just had, half the injuries that we've had? Nisbet and Boyle haven't stood on the same park. Kukarevich and Nisbet haven't took a step on the same pitch. Just when Kukarevich was getting going, he gets injured. Like, Boyle's out for the entire season. McGeady was missing up until the World Cup. Like,
McGuinness.
yeah,
Rocky.
McGuinness, Rocky.
Cadden.
Aye,
Cadden
right.
was out against Hearts.
But thing is, right, you look at this and
Sunday
you think,
night,
oh,
so-
well, you
It
know,
is the way of
lot
the
of
game, but
a lot of the players are starters, and then you think, oh, well, if you can have potential starters on the bench that are good enough to start, then superb.
yeah, that's it. And like, I do, and injuries are a thing. We knew Nisbet's injury before the season, etc. You know, it was carrying over. Boyle's got a history of it. McGeady has a history of it. So, you know, you could make all these arguments, but I still think we have been unfortunate with injuries. And I think it's probably not something that as a fan base and definitely in the media, we've probably actually not lent on it enough. You know, it's not an excuse, but, you know, if you can't put your best team out and we maybe laughed at Lee Johnson when he describes it as football IQ, but there was a period of time where we weren't getting our best players on the park, and it feels like we're gradually getting back to there with the exception of Boyle. Right, next question. David, over the last 5 years on average, how many first team players that play each week come from the academy? The academy is important for football, but how important is it for Hibs' first team success? Well, I think the first part of that question is no very many. Over the last 5 years, Hanlon and Stevenson, for a period of time,
Campbell.
Campbell now,
That's it.
for a period. Are we even crediting Josh Doig with the Hibs Academy? He was there for about
I
2
think if they
Well,
play if they
Well,
play
I
for
would
the
say
youth
so,
team,
aye, because he
aye,
came
and
through the
yeah.
academy. He
Hmm.
played at Hibs in the
No.
academy, so I
Did
would
he
say so.
did he not sign for Hibs about a year before he made his debut?
Aye, but he still played for the youth team.
Right, okay, fair, not fair. And then what? Maybe
Porteous.
Well, Porteous as well.
Porteous.
so then
Campbell, Porteous, Hanlon, Stevenson, Doig.
so a chunk. Then we're saying so. He says on average how many first team players play each week. So we maybe say
Not enough.
would we say 4 potentially on average, maybe?
Yeah.
And then so how important is it for Hibs' first team success?
Well, it is important because you don't need to spend money on these players bringing them in.
But you can make big money if you actually turn them into good players.
I think it is
Correct, so-
important. I agree. I think it is important. I do think it's important.
I would actually argue that it's huge for the success of the football club because it means that ultimately, if you're bringing young players through and they're going into the first team, then the footballing side of things is a success because ultimately that's the aim of the football club is surely to bring players through the academy and get them into the first team.
It's contingency as well, isn't it? You know, like if you trust in your academy, if you've got even three or four that you know are sort of there or thereabouts that you could probably say with O'Connor, Laidlaw, McIntyre, Aitken, Murray, Johnson, etc. Now, if you know they're there or thereabouts, maybe in a year's time, if we go through a similar vein of things with injuries, then you'd be able to fall back on them. or you maybe don't need to go and spend money on a striker in the summer if you do feel that a Josh Connor or a Laidlaw are ready to step up or whatever. So no, I think it's massive. I do. Next question, Jaden. So this was only sent in a couple of hours ago. So this has been after the signing today. Would you be happy with the window if we brought in one more experienced centre back and that was it? Also, has Ewan done enough to warrant him being signed permanently? First part of that question we've covered. Yes, we absolutely would be. Beck, you've made your thoughts on Ewan being signed permanently. So Harry and Ryan, would you want him permanently?
Yeah, absolutely.
If both of them are an option, 100%. Aye.
I've even said it's on you go, right?
Sorry, Harry. I was just going to say I actually really like LU, and despite bickering with Greg, I bicker with him because it's funny. But no, I think he's got a lot of qualities that other players don't have. I think he's pacey. He can beat a man. He can win free kicks in dangerous areas. I think he's a real asset when he's on his game, and Saturday was proof of that. And he can play anywhere across the front three, which is great.
Yeah.
Even when Ewan was like not really hitting his stride, and there was quite a lot of fans offside because we were getting battered by Celtic 6-1 and he was putting up Insta reels. I always think that he's got enough potential there that it's worth taking the shot on him, and now he's actually showing that he is that good player that we could actually take on board and can be a consistent first team player moving forward. We've got the option to buy on him, haven't we?
I think we do with Ewan. I think Ewan.
No idea how much it is, but I'm sure it's there.
I think we've got it with Ewan and don't have it with Kukurevich. That's
correct. Yeah,
I think if they were going to put an option to buy in a loan deal, it would obviously be a realistic fee. So he's obviously within our price range to have the option to buy. So it's very
6 figures for Melkerson realistic.
7.
Seven, mate.
Sorry.
Well, we paid 6 figures for him, Greg. Nah. Listen, it's not realistic. But hey, we got the better end of the deal there if he goes.
The only thing with Ewan, but I think he maybe lacks, is that he's maybe not the most natural finisher. However, he makes up for that in everything else he does, in my opinion. He works hard. He's not afraid to take players on and turn them inside out.
Does he lack for confidence, does he?
He actually. I felt almost a little bit sorry for Graham Shinnie. I think I'm tired at half time.
He should have been sent off.
Should have been booked.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, just to come on to the youth players there that came on, just as a wee tangent, physically more than matched what was being put in front of them. McIntyre bodied McCrory.
I think he maybe looked a little bit off at pace wise though. Stevenson went Gallagher.
I think he had a pass that was never going to reach its destination. But other than that, I think he actually done pretty well. And Josh O'Connor was physical with Liam Scales, and ultimately that's why he won the penalty.
Greg, let's talk about Liam Scales, actually. If I go on tangent.
I don't know why Liam Scales has been played at centre-half for a start.
You're Liam adamant that Hibs should have been.
He's a left back. He is a left back.
Stop retracting. That wasn't the Hibs should have.
And he's been playing at centre half.
For Jack Fitzwater because we beat them 4-0. Liam Scales' team have conceded 9 goals in 2 games at Easter Road, and he's been sent off twice.
Yeah, that's not a good look, is it? But no, I think in a better defence, Liam Scales probably looks a little bit better than what he does and playing in his right position, but I don't really know what's going on at the Aberdeen defence. I mean, that Anthony Stewart is
anyway
one of the worst centre halves I've ever seen in the league, and he was made captain as soon as he came in the door. So
if you think that Anthony Stewart's a good player, you must be some clown, by the way. Oh my God, he is terrible.
I don't know who he was at previously, but Christ, they must have been having a fucking party driving him up. If I was a Wickham manager, I'd be driving him up, making sure he got there.
Right. Give him a piggyback guy, they'll jog him up. At all costs, he will go to Aberdeen to be captain. All costs.
Like, there's none about him.
Right, last few. This is from Harry's mate, Jack Kelly. This Egan Riley looks top class and seems to know his place at the club. Heard a couple of names floating about. Reckon if we could bring in either another centre-back and a full-back, it'd be a great window. If not, just a full-back. What would you need to happen for you to see it as a great window? So maybe that's a little bit different from what we've had so far. So that's the sort of Hibs one, and then he reverts off to a separate question. So we'll cover the Hibs one first. Great window for me, centre-back, left-back. Aye. And I think I'd be pretty happy if we signed as long as the players are right. ultimately. I'm saying, like, if we sign a centre back that can come in permanently and looks the real deal, and a starting left back that someone that will, and this is not meant as any insult, someone that is finally capable of seeing off Lewis Stevenson. I think if you do that, then this has been a great window. With the players that you've got out, Jago looks a pretty good pickup. Nisbet stayed ultimately, despite a mad 48 hours. I think that would be pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think just because of the state of the Hibs squad the last couple of years, we've all kind of wanted massive overhauls in January. But I think realistically, the way that January's went's probably been about what we can possibly expect. I got a message and I'm trying not to laugh because my sister sent a message today saying if we get 2 centre backs, a right back, a left back, and a good centre mid, we'll be sorted for the window. Deadline days tomorrow, mate. Come on. But yeah, no, I think fullback is slightly concerning just because we've not seen any of the backup options properly to Haddon. I know we've had Miller in pre-season.
What do you make of Miller on Saturday when he came?
I thought he looked good. I think the main thing that we picked up on pre-season is he's strong. I think you can see that just in the way he carries himself. But I think he just needs more minutes under his belt so we can actually see what he's properly like. And then left back, like, I love Lewis Stevenson, but as I've said before, I'm more than happy for him to play 10, 15 games a season, but he shouldn't be expected to play 35 games a season. It's ridiculous.
But end up with like 30 plus again, isn't he?
I know, it's mad. Like, obviously, credit to him, he's an absolute gem, but it just shouldn't be the case. So fully agree. For me, I just want that permanent centre back, guys. I've been asking for about 9 windows now. That's all I want.
Greg, Ryan, great window.
Great would be Liam Lindsay, Ethan Erhahon, and James McLean swap deal with you and Henderson at winger.
Ethan Erhahon is away to
Lincoln City, which is a real shame.
Lincoln fucking City.
Loser!
350 grand.
Decent fee for St Mirren. For me, for it to be a great window, it's really important that Kevin Nisbet stays, and then a left back and a centre half. That would make it great, as long as the left back and centre half were of quality to be in the first team straight away.
So let's just get this clear, because I think that will wrap us up on transfer questions. I do think up the slope this week, Harry and Liam are going to record, and I do think it will be transfer related unless that changes. But if the window's shut now, squad as is, good window.
Okay, well, you're a couple of months' time.
Okay, window. We've shifted out a lot of deadwood.
We've shifted out what we had to shift out, with the exception of maybe a couple of those. But
I'd still be
it's been okay.
A bit worried at centre back. I really, as my I would still probably feel good with that potential of it backfiring ultimately post Rocky's injury. And but look, we don't know how CJ is going to turn it. He could. We I think we're skeptical of we've been burned by loan signings in the past, but that's absolutely nothing to do with him. So he could be coming in and being an absolute player. And
he gets our full support.
Good luck to the lad.
Yeah,
absolutely gets our full support.
Right, Jack's second question. What's your go-to TV show when you're doing nothing and just want something to cheer you up and pass the time? Harry strikes me as an Always Sunny in Philadelphia type, up the Hibs. You're spot on there. That's an absolute cop-out, though, because if he's not talking about Hibs, he's talking about the Philadelphia Eagles or the fucking, 76ers or whatever. But I'll answer for Harry. That is his show. He loves it. Ryan, what's your go-to show?
Babe Station. Sons of Anarchy, I quite like. Watched that quite a few times. I've been through Breaking Bad a few times. I like something that you've got to pay attention to. So.
Right, Greg.
White Gold.
Oh, good show.
Huge fan. Good. For some reason, I actually quite like The Good Place. I don't think
yes,
I've seen that.
Oh,
I
sensational.
actually don't think that'd be right up my street, but I seem to enjoy it. Still game.
Yes.
Royal Family is good. So yeah,
I'm still
and
game.
that's the proper Royal Family.
Abolish the monarchy.
Still game for me. Although I am on as Greg knows, and I have been for a while, I banned myself from watching it because it was just an obsession for a while. But I like Big Bang Theory, Friends. I do like Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well. And I've actually started rewatching that a little bit. So really good show actually. Right.
Wait, I not get to chime in with a few extras as well.
Oh, go on.
Great show.
Go
It's
on
Always
then,
Sunny.
Harry.
One, I think I'm going to get pelters from Greg for this. But see, if I'm just proper in a chilled mood, I love a good phone a bed sesh.
Such a good show, mate.
So good. I could
actually
watch it all
quite
day,
enjoy
every
it.
day.
I also like Come Down With Me, to be fair. I enjoy
Mate,
that.
Four in a Bed is fucking unbelievable. Tell you.
Yeah,
Because
guys.
everyone goes on the top of the mattress to look on top of the wardrobe to see if there's dust.
The
but
best
seriously,
bit is
there's
What are
when
we
they
talking
start
about,
losing their
boys?
shit at
Come
each
on.
other. I
Mate,
love that when they don't
They're
put
sitting
enough
on the
money
table
down
then.
or whatever. Aye.
do you guys ever watch Gogglebox?
Aye, it's
Yeah.
alright.
Do you ken the pure
Sometimes.
posh couple that always get drunk?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you go on Netflix, they're on one of the four in a beds. Like they've actually got a B&B and they're one of the hosts on it. Class. Watch it on Netflix. You've got
So
25
else a
episodes.
good laugh. What else? Naked Attraction's a good laugh.
I don't know about Naked Attraction.
I watched it once with my mate's mum, and it was like
Wow.
she
Well,
was
that-
in
well,
the room, and it was so weird. And I was like, "What is going on here?" And I was like, "No, I was so uncomfortable."
Did that end up
It's
falling
actually a
in?
good laugh. Also, First Dates is good.
First Dates is good. That's feel good. That warms your little stone cold heart though, Greg, doesn't it?
No, it
Liar.
doesn't because
Liar.
yeah.
I've been to that restaurant.
Although
It's actually
I'll
quite decent.
watch it in my notepad. Think that's a fucking good show. That actually
That was quite a good line, that.
taking notes.
Right. John is going to wrap us up tonight with a slightly different question, obviously, to please Greg. What did everyone have for lunch?
See that?
Greg, tell us, what did you have for lunch? You were on a day off today, so I'm assuming there was no meal deals.
No. So I had tomato soup with 2 ham and cheese pieces on brown bread. Obviously, I'm an athlete.
Toasty, nah,
so,
just normal sandwich.
yeah, just normal sandwich.
Did you
Dipped
dip
it in,
that in?
obviously. Yeah, absolutely, you dip it in.
Okay,
What about
with the
absolutely
ham
dip
involved.
in?
Okay.
That not go a bit
Nice.
soggy if it's not a toasty.
No, because you
It's
just
alright.
eat it, you don't
You
put
just
it back
chuck
in
it
the
in.
plate after you've dipped it in. Fucking hell.
Don't say it doesn't fit straight in the mouth. What's going on
I'll
here?
start by dipping one of the corners and then just going for there and working my way through it.
Oh,
Ryan, lunch. What does lunch consist of for a man like yourself?
What a good learner man like myself. I had
He'll
chicken
tell
tikka
you
pa-
they didn't have time for a lunch.
Hey, I'm a grafter, like, and I'm sure all the
Right, so you
listeners
keep
will
saying.
know that. Anyway, I had a chicken tikka panini, sweet chili sauce, lettuce, and tomato. Woof.
Lovely.
Aye, very nice.
Lovely.
Toasted.
I went for what did I have today? I had Mexican rice with some peri peri chicken. It was actually delightful. Very, very
Peace.
good. Done the chicken.
Oh, how was your Nando's yesterday, by the way? What did
you?
you have, man? Tell the listeners.
I prefer
Oh,
not
you're
to.
going to get judged here, yeah.
I prefer not to speak. It didn't happen.
Oh, go and tell
Oh,
us.
no, he's went
Come
to
on.
that sauce, isn't he?
Don't
we
be a
never
shite
went.
bag.
We never went.
You
to
never
that,
went?
and I'm very
Jeez.
disappointed. It wasn't my decision.
I
Plans
wouldn't be
got
happy
changed,
with that.
but we still
By
have
the way, hold on.
we still have the £50 voucher. So it will be getting consumed ASAP. Harry, what was your lunch?
Well, unfortunately, as I said earlier, I was feeling a bit under the weather, so I just had some watermelon and blueberries. I was just keeping it light. Stomach was feeling a bit sore
What a
today, so
conservative lunch that is, by the way.
He lives in London, Greg. Come on.
Wait
Wow.
till
It was actually hand fed to me from the servants, and that you can just pick up on the streets. So that was great. Yeah.
right.
Aye.
Hibs are playing tomorrow, Ross County. Huge game. Greg, score prediction.
21-0 Hibs. And it won't be pretty, because it never is.
No, never is. Ryan.
2-0. 2-0 Hibs.
Excellent. Harry.
Wait, Greg, did you say 1-0 or 21-0?
1-0. I said that a sweaty 1-0.
Oh, I thought you said 21-0.
It
That's why I
sounded
laughed.
like
I was wondering why you were laughing at that. I thought, it's a pretty normal answer, is it? No?
I thought you said 21-0 Hibs. It's not going to be pretty. I was like, surely that's going to be stunning if we hit 21 past someone. But with no Noah and Kenna, Ross County don't intimidate me. I'm going to say 3-0 Hibs. I'm an absolute shadow of myself, but in the best way possible from last week.
3-1 Hibs. Semi-comfortable. That's what I'm going for. 3-1. 1-1 half-time. 2 goals in the second half. Put the pressure on to get into the European places, which we're kind in already, depending on who wins the Scottish Cup. Right, plans for down the slope the rest of this week. Harry and Liam are recording up the slope later in the week, Thursday, I believe, so keep your eyes out for that. Might be subject to change. And we did have a request for deadline day spaces, but we aren't doing that.
There's no space.
There's no space. That's it, mate. We don't want to dilute things, but I'm sure we will tune into the boys over at Hibs Ramble, who are doing one after the game and with deadline day, and I'm sure that'll be very, very entertaining. Yeah. Cheers. We'll be back next week. We've got 2 games that will have happened since then. With St Mirren away, but we're not going to bother with score predictions. You'll get a little bit down the slope, Phil, from Harry and Liam in the meantime. Cheers.
On the cabbage.
Right.